Good morning and happy Wednesday, fifth grade. This is Miss Gibson coming to you with your reading packet for today. So, you guys should have Wednesday, May 27th out. You guys should also have the Google form up to do stop and jot as we are going through the video. And you guys, of course, should have the text up because we are going to get into chapter 13 today, and we are at the bottom of page 92. So, go ahead and get all three tabs open as you are doing this video. Awesome. All right. So let's get into the lesson here. Today we are reading chapter 13 of Bud Not Buddy. And we're going to be focusing on Bud's new interactions. So we are tracking these interactions to learn more about the main character, Bud. So throughout these interactions, we are going to be tracking them, answering stop and jots, digging into digging deeper into who Bud is as a character and how and what's going on in his life. So, first, as a recap, we're going to just think about what happened with Bud in chapter 12. Of course, you can go back to the text and skim the text if you guys need to refresh your memory before coming up with the answer. All right. So, yes, in chapter 12, Bud actually went to meet his father. So, at the end, we are talking at the end of chapter 12, he is going into the shop. He's making sure that Herman E. Calloway and Lefty Lewis don't meet each other. And then he is going in and letting this guy know that you are like you are my father, and he's saying I know it's you, like stop, like why are you doing this, basically why are you rejecting me in front of these guys. So that's what's happening right now, at the end of chapter 12. So now we're going to get into chapter 13 to see what happens next. So you guys will be reading pages 92 to 94. We will then get into the first stop and jot of explaining what we are learning from this first conversation, following Bud revealing that Herman E. Calloway was his father to him and his band. Once you're done reading, you will get into the stop and jot to make sure to provide strong evidence. So again, you're reading from page 92, which is the beginning of the chapter, to the bottom of page 94. Then do the first stop and jot in the Google form. Stop and jot right here. All right. So 92, 93, and stopping at the bottom of 94. Pull it if you want. All right, go ahead and begin reading and getting into that first stop and jot. All right, so welcome from reading the first few pages of chapter 13 and doing stop and jot number one. Explain how Herman E. Calloway and Jimmy feel when they hear Bud's announcement. So, what's one word we can describe their feelings right now? Right. I would definitely go with shocked because I feel like they didn't know what was going on. This news was so random, and they just think that it's just out of the blue that this little boy is coming up and trying to say that he's the father. Like as it says on 93, Harmon E. Calloway goes, I am truly sorry to hear that, but it's obvious that you are a disturbed young man and you don't have a clue who your father is. You just tell us who's looking after you now, and we'll get you sent back to wherever it is you belong. And then after that, that's when Bud is going again with going into the conversation with I belong to you now, sir. Hermione Calloway's not hearing it. He doesn't like it. Now they're trying to figure out who his family is in order to get Bud back to Flint. But again, Bud doesn't really have any family and he ran away from the foster family. So he doesn't really have anywhere else to go other than being with Hermione E. Calloway. All right. So now let's get into the next piece of the text for today. So we're going to read pages 95 to 96 together. So everyone get on over there to those pages and we're going to begin reading together. Hey, 95. Jimmy said, fair enough. He waved me back onto the stage. Bud, he said, you look like you might be a little hungry, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're all done rehearsing and we're about to head over to the Sweet Pea. You're invited to come along under one condition. What, sir? Once you get something in your belly, but you've got to be straight with me. You've got some explaining to do. We'll feed you, but you've got to tell us the truth. Do we have a deal? He stuck his hand out for me to shake, but I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. What's the sweet pea, sir? Best restaurant in Grand Rapids. Is it a deal? I don't know how grown-ups can tell I'm always so doggone hungry, but I sure wasn't going to turn down getting my very first real restaurant first very first real restaurant food. I grabbed his hand and made sure I gave it a hard squeeze like Mama told me to and say, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." He smiled. "No problem." Herman E. Calloway said, "Well, James, like I said, if he's going to be doing some explaining, it's got to be to you. I don't want to listen to this scamp's nonsense whilst I'm trying to digest my supper." He stuck a pipe that wasn't lit in his mouth and walked off the stage. Shucks, if my father had to be so doggone old, I was starting to wish that Lefty Lewis or this Jimmy guy were him. Herman E. Calloway seemed like he was going to be hard to get along with. The horn player said, "Little man, my name is Jimmy Wellesley. You can call me Mr. Jimmy." "Yes, sir." He pointed at the younger men. "The drummer there is Doug the Thug Tennant. The sax man is Harrison Eddie Steady Patrick." Saxophone player said, "Oh man, it's not Eddie Steady, it's Steady Eddie Patrick." Mr. Jimmy said, "Uh-huh." And on trombone, we have Chug Doodlebug Cross, and the palest member of the band on piano is Roy Dirty D Breed. He shook his head again and said, "Lord knows why these young musicians can't just leave the perfectly good names their mamas gave them alone. But for some reason, they can't. Anyway, fellas, this here's Bud. What was your last name, Bud?" "Caldwell, sir." "This here is Bud Caldwell. He's gonna be our guest over at the Sweet Pea for dinner. Y'all say hello to the little man and make him feel comfortable." The thug said, "What's the word, Bud?" Dirty D said, "How you doing?" Doodlebug said, "Welcome, little snuff." Steady Eddie said, Good to meet you, my man." I said, "Pleased to meet you." Mr. Jimmy told them, "All right, he'll ride over with you for me and Herm will meet you there." The saxman, Steady Eddie, said, "All right, Mr. Jimmy, we'll finish loading up." The Jimmy guy went out the front door. The saxman told me, "Come on, little man. If Mr. Jimmy's going to spring for your supper, the least you can do is help load the car. Grab that case over there and put it in the trunk of the Buick out back." He pointed to a long, skinny black case that had a leather handle on top of it and said, "And be careful, that's my bread and butter in there." I must have looked confused because he told me, "That's my horn, my axe, my saxophone, the thing I make all my money with. So don't get butterfingers and drop it." All right. So we are done with reading page 95 to 96 together. So, what I want you guys to think about is, how do you think Bud feels when Jimmy invites him to come to the Sweet Pea to eat? So, how do you think Bud feels when Jimmy invites him to come to the Sweet Pea to eat? First thing you got to do, of course, is go to this exact moment where it happens. So, beginning of page 95. And let's think about this. How do you think Bud feels about going and being invited? Okay, so we can tell right now that Bud is definitely kind of conflicted on going, but again, he is so hungry, and he says it right here where it says, "I don't know how grown-ups can tell I'm always so doggone hungry, but I sure wasn't going to turn down getting my very first real restaurant food." So we know that he's hungry. He definitely wants to go, and but then also you could tell that he's kind of like trying to figure out what's going on and what's the sweet pea and why would he actually go there, because he initially was thinking, but I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. So at first he didn't shake his hand, but then afterwards when he found out that it's actually a restaurant and things like that and he's extremely hungry, then that's when he gave in and said, "Okay, I'll come as long." And then Bud just has to give the honest truth to Jimmy and Herman so that they can understand why Bud was there and why he was calling Herman E. Calloway his father. Okay. The next thing you guys are going to do is read page 97 to 98. You will then get to the next stop and jot of showing your understanding of what is going on with Bud's interactions between the band members as they're loading up the van. So then after that, you guys will be explaining why Rule 63 becomes important to Bud. So again, you guys will be reading so from 97 to the bottom of page 98 and stop, and then get into the second stop and jot of explaining why Rule 63 becomes important to Bud. All right, welcome back from doing stop and jot number two of explaining why Rule 63 becomes important to Bud. So let's get into where where 63 came up at and why. So realize Bud is still with the band members and he's helping them load the truck before they go into Sweet Pea. Some of them are likes to joke a lot and everything, and then they're trying to tell him like, "Oh, go inside and we'll get a Sweet Pea and give your daddy a big kiss on the cheek and things like that." And then they know Bud is understanding that they're joking, but then something slips out his mouth where he's like, "Yes, sir, but isn't it just like my luck to come clean across the state to find my daddy?" And he turns out to be a mean old coot. And then, of course, this is where the rule comes up where it says, never ever say something bad about someone you don't know, especially when you're around a bunch of strangers. You never can tell who might be kin to that person or who might be a lip flapping, big mouth spy. So, the reason why this rule is coming about is because he doesn't want to put his foot in his mouth right now to people he doesn't know. Okay. So realize like this it becomes important to Bud because he doesn't want to be on anyone's bad side, or he doesn't want people running back to Hermie Calloway's him telling them that he's saying bad things about him because he still wants to get to know this guy like as his father and he wants him to believe him. Because it also goes on to say the thug guy started acting like he was writing stuff down on a piece of pretend paper. He said, "Let's see, what was that? Mean old coot or old mean coot? Shoot, baby, if I drop some info like this on Mr. C, I might be able to stay in this band longer than the last three drummers did. You see, kid, you ain't the only one trying to get on Mr. C's good side. This is the best drumming gig in the state, and I need to hang on to it as long as I can." So now he feels like the drummer guy may or may not be mean and go back and tell Herman E. Calloway that Bud is calling him names just to get on Herman E. Calloway's good side to stay in the band longer. So this is why he has to realize that he cannot say things around strangers, and you can never tell who might be kin to that person or who might be a lip flapping big spy. So this rule is very important to him and Bud's survival right now. Okay, let's get into the last piece of the chapter. So you guys are going to finish the chapter and then get into the final stop and jot of what this interaction with the band members is revealing about Bud and his mother. So you then will get into the final stop and jot. You are going to answer what do we learn about Bud's mom and why does Bud say, "But my eyes don't cry no more." So as you're reading, make sure you're understanding what's going on with Bud's mom and why would Bud say this in the conversation. So go ahead and get started and finish the chapter up with the last two pages. All right, welcome back from trying out Stop and Jot number three, which is what do we learn about Bud's mom and why does Bud say, "But my eyes don't cry no more"? So we are on page 99. Of course, they're still having this interaction with the band members here in Bud. So these Bud's mom clearly comes up because they keep trying to figure out how did like Harmony Calloway become about, and then Bud is like letting him know. So we're on page 99 that my mother let me know. And then they're going into, of course, trying to figure out where his mom is. Why isn't she there? How old is she? What's going on? And then as Bud is talking, he's like, "Oh yeah, well she was pretty old when I was born." So they're like, "Oh, so is she 80? Is like older, like older in the years?" And then he's revealing that she was 26 when she died. So basically, now they're trying to figure out why Bud thinks that 26 is old when she died, but he doesn't really, I guess, understand the sense of age in this point. And then they keep going on to figure out what's going on. And Steady Eddie goes, "You're all right, little man. You're a tough little nut. I like that. Most folks your age will be bawling their eyes out if they got teased as hard as that fool drummer was teasing you. But you ain't even close to crying, are you?" Then Bud replies, "No, sir. I don't know why, but my eyes don't cry no more." So, why are we like, other than finding out this information about his mom, why would Bud say this in this moment? Right. Realize Bud has gone through so much before his age now. So a lot of things haven't been phasing Bud as much anymore because of the fact that he he didn't have his father around. His mom passed when he was young. He's been in and out of foster family homes. He's been dealing with getting bullied by other kids in the foster homes. And now he's been on his own trying to find his father. So he now realized that like my eyes don't cry no more because nothing this is saying that nothing can phase him anymore, for everything that he's been through in his life so far, okay? Secret code time. Your secret code for today is Jordan. So make sure you're typing that in correctly in all lowercase letters and getting into it. All right. So you guys are now finished with chapter 13. So I hope you guys learned a lot of new things as we were going through these interactions with Bud. And of course, trying to understand him more as a character. You guys are now going to get into the exit ticket and make sure you are using the text for this exit ticket because you guys should be passing them with flying colors as they are questions directly from the text in the chapter that we are in. All right. So head on over and finish up that exit ticket. Make sure you have that text up next to you to get it done. Have a great day. Bye.